Hello again, beautiful beings of light. For whatever reason, it feels like it has been years since I've seen you last. And that's just because so much has been going on, and I have so much to talk to all of you about today. Yeah, just so much. First, I want to say that I will be I will be live remote viewing today, which is really cool. So, one of your questions from the members was what's going on in the underground tunnels, what's going on with the children, and have you remote viewed that yet? And I haven't had time. So you know what I'm gonna do today? I'm gonna remote view for all of you, and do a little bit of live channeling as well. Not interdimensional, it's just information. Before we begin, I just want to say thank you all so freaking much for 80,000. Just such a huge milestone. Definitely a milestone that I couldn't even picture or imagine at the beginning of this year. So I know that most of you watching this are brand new to my channel and new in a relative sense, but I know that deep down all of you resonate and know this information within your soul. So thank you all so much for subscribing. Thank you for being here. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. And if you want even more content, make sure you sign up for the memberships. And thank you all members for being here as well, and for your incredible questions, and for all of the upvotes on all of the most amazing ones. Okay, yeah, a couple of things. I do want to say that between Thursday, Friday, Saturday, there was massive upgrades that were going on for a lot of light workers. So I just want to say that if you in particular had a rough week this past week, once again, all of the same ascension symptoms: headaches, exhaustion, huge downloads, aha moments, flashbacks, past lifetimes, body aches and pains, sore throat, you're feeling it. All right? You're not dying, you're not getting sick, you're going through an upgrade. And so this is why it feels like it's been years since I've talked to all of you, because I've been going through massive amounts of upgrades in the past couple of days. And that also means that my business is getting upgraded as well. Even though it's not my business, it's my mission. My mission is getting upgraded. I can no longer say yes to things that are not in alignment for the highest good of all of humanity, which means, and it breaks my heart to say this, I can no longer spend the time that I have been on the individual person. Right now, I'm really getting called to groups and awakening people in this kind of environment, which is just being with all of you. So on top of producing content for YouTube and the memberships and the podcast, and, you know, producing content and doing interviews for other podcasts and radio shows, I'm also really gearing up for my book, and I'm also talking to a production company about TV. And I'm getting my foot in the mainstream world, which is very vulnerable for me to do, right? I mean, I could just stay on YouTube all day, every day, and I could be killing it and loving life. But once again, it doesn't feel like that's what I'm here for. It's not expansive enough, you know? I don't want to just awaken people who are already on the path of awakening. I want to help awaken the masses with the information that I have, and of course with the very easily digestible, you know, human that I am, if that makes sense, right? So it's like I hook them in with, oh, it's just a pretty basic blonde chick, and then I blow their mind with the information that I have. So it's kind of like a scheme that I have going on. But of course, that's why I went from a tall gray alien into this 5 foot nothing, you know, form, is to help integrate into the masses. So really big leaps. And I'm also not surprised that there was a video that was released a couple of days ago on this woman's channel, and I think a lot of you know the video that I'm talking about, and you know this woman that I'm talking about as well. I'm not going to say names because I'm not going to pinpoint people and call them out and judge them, maybe the way that she did to me. But you know what? I wasn't surprised that she kind of judged this video that I did recently on Kinetic, which is a beautiful eighth dimensional Palladian being. And her biggest judgment was that Kinetic is an evil being, and that poor me, because I don't have the ability to discern between evil and good, which is ridiculous. And she said that he was evil mainly because he looks like a vampire, which is also mind-blowing, because there are crazy interdimensional beings who look quite ugly to our human standard, who are so full of love and so full of compassion. Like, take Khan, for example, a 12th dimensional mantis being who looks like a giant praying mantis. Like, talk about being scared, right? But he's so full of love, and he's so funny, and all he wants is the best for humanity. So to judge an interdimensional being based on how they look, and to make certain judgments when she doesn't actually channel beings at all, whereas I've been channeling interdimensional beings and I've been psychically attacked by the dark side my entire life. So to actually say that I don't know the difference between a being of love and light and a being who's trying to manipulate me is it's just mind-blowing for me. This is my livelihood. I mean, this is what I do every day for a living. And if any of you joined me for the Galactic Federation beautiful live channeling event, it was amazing. We had so many different, interesting, unique beings, including the Suri species, which I've never even communicated with. And none of them really looked very humanoid at all. And they were all quite incredible and beautiful and unique and powerful, you know? So, yeah, so anyway, I just want to say, ultimately, guys, it's always up to you. And I never tell you to blindly trust the information coming through. I always teach each and every one of you to discern for yourself. If this information resonates with you, then fantastic, it's for you. And if this information doesn't resonate with you, then it's not meant to be for you at this time. And that's okay too. And one more thing about that is, the funniest thing is, me and this woman had actually a group interview together not too long ago. And like, during the interview, immediately I got this vibration from her. I'm like, oh, she doesn't like me. And it literally felt like my energy to her was like nails on a chalkboard. And I think it's just because we're on different vibrational planes, right? Which is totally fine. And I think that the work that she's doing is amazing and incredible. And it's super eye-opening for humanity. But it's very political. And people need that, right? But anyway, I knew right away that she just couldn't handle my energy. I don't know if it's because I'm positive and bubbly and optimistic, but I'm actually not surprised that she released that video and was talking about my channeling. But also, once again, guys, just up to your discernment. That's all I'm going to say about that. Oh, and maybe one more thing is, every time I channel the Galactic Federation, I always begin sitting in the vibration of gratitude. And if you're a channeler, you absolutely know that you cannot channel another being that is not in harmonic alignment with your own frequency. So how can I attract a being who's a super low vibrational being when I'm a super high vibrational frequency? It's literally impossible. Quantum physics states that two frequencies of a different vibration cannot coexist in the same space. It's science. Okay, moving on. Okay, I also want to say too, has anyone here really been noticing that time is weird? Time has been really weird recently. Like, I keep thinking that we're a day ahead of the day that it is, and then, you know, a whole day goes by and I'm like, wow, it just felt like it was 10 a.m., you know? Or I'm like, you know what, I really want to make this minute last, and it like 1 minute lasts an hour. It's been really weird. And I really do feel like, because we're upgrading our frequencies, time is no longer linear in the way that we've perceived it before. Okay? Yeah, super fast, super slow, super weird. Major upgrades. So once again, if you've been receiving ascension symptoms, like I was literally in bed for the past 2 days, sore throat and exhaustion and headache. And the headache, no matter what I did, it wouldn't go away. It would move from the back of my head to the top of my head to behind my eyes to my temple. It was insane. Okay, yes. So right now, I received the message that light workers are flipping a switch. This is our time to perceive our next steps differently, to perceive our future differently. And the second that you flip that switch and you're like, oh, this is what I'm here for, this is what I'm gonna do, this is my mission, everything will shift and open up for you the second that you make that decision. So the second that I made a decision to say, you know what? I am in Hollywood, literally in Hollywood for a reason. And I'm here to switch the energy of Hollywood and the corruption and the pedophilia and all of that. So I'm ready to step into the mainstream. And by doing so, I'm also opening myself to attack and ridicule because this is who I am. I channel aliens. And if a member of my own clan, if a member of my own category is judging me, then I'm just getting prepared for the judgments that the rest of the world has for me, right? So I'm getting prepared. My website went down, everything crashed around me in the past couple of days because I made a decision to step into my light in the fullest capacity and to reach out to those who are questioning the awakening, who are preparing to get ready for the information that I have, but maybe aren't fully there yet. So anyway, so right now, it's going to be very exhausting and even physically painful for you to flip that switch. It happens in your perception first of, oh, that's it. That's what I'm here for. And then eventually it'll permeate into your physical reality. Okay? So being aware of that. One more thing before we dive into these epic questions, and I do a little bit of remote viewing for all of you, and we're going to talk about some really awesome topics. So last night, my wife, Nat, was talking about her channeling, and this is beautiful, right? So all the credit of this statement goes to her. So I want to let you know. So she told me last night, she's like, I go to bed and I listen to these meditation tapes, and she's like, for the longest time, I've been trying to open up my third eye, and I've been focusing so much on opening my third eye that it's never happened. And she's like, I think that the over focus on the third eye has actually been blocking my third eye. And she's like, so I was listening to this woman, on the meditation tape, and she's like, the woman was explaining to shift your attention over to the right hemisphere of your brain, back to the left hemisphere of your brain, and to open up a portal in the left hemisphere of the brain, because that's where this woman brings in angelic beings into her body, is through the left side. And so Nat's like, yeah, so for the past couple of nights, I've been opening up a portal in the left hemisphere of my brain, and she's like, I start getting all these visions, and I'm like traveling through space through this portal, and she's like, that it's been working consistently every time. So I wanted to bring this up to all of you to say, and I'm not really good with the beginning of the third eye opening stuff because it's so natural and so easy for me, so it's very difficult for me to explain how I do it. But I wanted to relay this information to all of you, and always setting an intention that you're doing this for the highest good of all involved, making sure that you're only targeting the highest vibrations. But maybe your over focus on the third eye is actually preventing and limiting you from having the experience within the third eye because you have so much attachment and so much expectation. Just like I've mentioned in manifestation videos before, it's not about focusing on getting more money, it's about focusing on the vibration of freedom. Because thinking about money itself can actually be limiting you and holding you back, okay? So don't focus on the third eye itself, focus on the left hemisphere of the brain and maybe opening up that portal to the astral realm, once again, in the highest vibration of all involved. Okay, cool. All right, so the first two questions that came from my members, and if you guys want to ask questions, just sign up and be a member. We've got Desiree here, as well as Kaz. Oh, Opus coming through. You guys both had the same question, and all of you upvoted this question so many times. And it's about the solar flare, okay? And the first question is, what will happen during the solar flare, December 21st, 2020? Will we become bodies right away or over time? So first of all, I just want to say that I'm not sure where you got the date of December 21st, 2020. I have heard from a couple of you that other channelers have been predicting the solar flare, which is really awesome because I was told about the solar flare back in like 2018, maybe 2019. I feel like it was 2018 though, and they told me that it was going to be happening in 2021. So it's interesting that you bring up this date. So the specific date of when this is happening has never been confirmed to me. So I just want to let you all know that that date doesn't come from me or the Galactic Federation, at least from my sources. The second question about the solar flare comes through here. Hi EA, you mentioned some time ago that there would be a massive solar flare event that was 60% likely to happen to reset for the new paradigm. I was wondering if that percentage has changed and how much it has changed. Perfect, awesome. So, great question. I want to say that recently, in the past couple of months, I have talked to the Galactic Federation about this, and they have given me information about the solar flare. And they told me, and this was like probably back in maybe April, when I channeled them around there, and they told me that if we as a humanity has learned our lesson, okay, in quotations, through COVID and quarantine, if we've learned our lessons collectively, then we don't have to experience the solar flare event. That's what they said last. As far as the upgrades with the solar flare, that's part of the reason why they're telling us to get prepared with food and water. I believe that it will wipe out, a certain amount of electrical, function. I'm not sure how much. They're pretty vague on that. But they basically said, they told me, and this was years ago that they told me, that during the solar flare event, that we should stay inside and we should meditate and raise our vibration. And we aren't going to ascend instantly to light bodies. I even see that during the awakening, during the ascension, we're all still going to be here as a physical being, as a physical body on this planet, but our vibration has then shifted, and we have then fully and officially shifted into that 5D timeline that we're all headed towards. So that's some background information. Let's just channel right now. Let me just take a look and see, has that percentage changed, and will they let us know any other information about the big solar flare event that's going to be happening? And is it still going to be happening? Okay, let's just see. Sometimes they don't give me the information because it's still way too up in the air. And yes, the problem is if they give you the information, say for example, it's 50% likely to happen, and they give you that information. All of you are now going to be like, oh, the solar flare is happening in 2021. All of you are powerful, conscious, manifesting beings, which means that if we told you that the solar flare was going to happen in 2021, you're all going to manifest it so that it does happen. That's why they are very elusive sometimes with specific details and information, because they don't want you to create something that doesn't necessarily have to happen. But let's just take a look. Let's just see what they have to say. So 1 second. Interesting. Okay. Yep. Yeah, of course. Okay, so literally I'm getting two very conflicting pieces of information, all by the same Galactic Federation Palladian Council. Just to let you guys know, if you've never seen me channel before, I literally close my eyes, I open my third eye, I take some time, take some breaths to quiet my ego mind, right, my human mind, and I just open up the energies and I allow the information to come to me rather than needing to direct the information. So I ask a question such as, is the solar flare event going to happen? The first response I get is no. And then the second response I get is, but if it were to happen, it's going to happen in the first couple of months of 2020 or 2021. And then I heard the month of February. So once again, very conflicting. And I said, are you even able to tell me at this point, or where are we at? Let's see if I can get a percentage from them. Okay, yeah, interesting. Okay, so now the percentage is actually flipped. They said 40% likely to happen, 60% likely not to happen, which is pretty awesome. That means that we're actually in a trajectory where we don't have to have another huge shock. It's kind of nice, right? Because what would happen if the solar flare were to happen and take place is it's going to throw a lot of people who are very unawakened into a lot of fear. And honestly, that fear is completely unnecessary. Waking up through fear is tough. Waking up through everything is all sorted out. I have everything that I could possibly ever need. So what more is there? Oh, there's consciousness. Let's get into that, right? That's a much more pleasant way to awaken. So anyway, so that's really beautiful. Yeah, so they're very, very conflicting. But of course, it's 40-60 right now. And what I would just say to all of you, if you are concerned, just get prepared, rather be safe than sorry. That's kind of my motto. And like I said, food and water, that's pretty much all you really need to think about with the solar flare if it were to happen. Okay, but good news. It's really good news, I think. Okay, next question here. From Brittany Evans. Hello, I've been hearing from many sources that the next 3 months will be particularly rocky. Is there any further information you can give us on this? Does that mean natural disasters, as well as political turbulence or violence? Do we need to look into getting physical protection, such as mace or a gun? I'm a single mama, so as much as I'd like to stay in the light, I also want to protect my young. Absolutely. So I'm going to channel this as well, because I have also been hearing from physical people, not from beings, but I've also been hearing that there's going to be a lot of turbulence. Even though I'm in America, I'm so removed from the elections that I don't really pay attention to that stuff. So let me just go ahead and ask. I'm going to ask the same source, the Galactic Federation Council, Palladian Security Council, and I'm going to ask them what they have to say about the next 3 months, next couple months. Should we have protection? I don't feel like we need to have protection in that way. I don't think it's going to get that rowdy, but let's just see what they have to say. So 1 second. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So taking a look, here are the things that were coming to me, the flashes of images. The first one is a very clear sentence, and they said that it's already been decided, and they're talking about the election. It's already been decided. There's already a clear set path for who's going to be elected, and I think that it's because everything's predetermined. Not predetermined in a cosmic way, predetermined in a political way, because let's be real, that all that shit's an illusion, right? So they said it's already been determined, and they said it's been determined by the light side, by the good guys. Okay? They did not make reference on what was determined. They just said it has been determined, and it was their decision as the Galactic Federation, which is for the collective of humanity. Okay, so that's what they said. And then they also said, I said, is there going to be major turbulence? And they said, yes, but most of this turbulence is going to be on the inside. Okay, so it's going to be inside the political structure, inside the political realm. There's going to be crazy stuff going on. And they said that the reason why is because the dark side is literally going to be battling the light side in this political stuff in America. They said a lot of other things all around the world for a lot of other countries are also going to be going down in the next couple of months. I asked about riots, I asked about like environmental things. They didn't mention too much about anything external. They said internally there's a huge push and pull. There's a huge, and they said that they're going to be pulling out a lot of tactics to drive people into a fear-based mentality. There's going to be a lot of tactics that drive people into a fear-based mentality in the next 6 months, basically leading up to 2021. That's about it though. They didn't really mention too much specifically, and I'm just going to leave it at that. And let me just ask if we need protection. No, they said if you're going to have protection, the protection that you really do need to have is energetic and vibrational. Because part of the plan in the dark side of things is going to be major attacks, right? Because they're still trying to push through. Many of the players on the dark side have collapsed, have fallen, or have chosen to leave altogether. But there is still one guy in particular who is in charge, and I talked about that in the Galactic Federation event. One guy particularly who's in charge who is not letting go of his control. Not letting go of his control. So so it's going to be a wild ride and definitely something very interesting to bear witness to. Okay, so we've got another question here from Helen. I'm curious to know how our reptilian brain, that fight or flight mechanism, will be affected once humans ascend. Will the structure of our brain change, or will we still need to survive the binary nature of Earth? Great question. From what I've channeled in the past, ultimately the structure of our brain is going to be changing and even expanding because new neural pathways are going to be firing off rather than just you need to make more money or you need to have a nicer car or you need to do this. We get away from that, we expand our consciousness, those new neural pathways are firing off. So that's going to change. But I do truly believe that there is a proper function of the reptilian brain, that survival mentality, which is, hey, Elizabeth, you're thirsty, drink some water. Hey, Elizabeth, you're tired, go take a nap. Hey, Elizabeth, you're hungry, go eat some food. So when we start ascending to a new vibrational level, it's going to be much more difficult to tune into our physical senses. And I don't know about all of you, but in the past couple of days, I have gone without eating food for quite some time in the day, and then I ask myself, it's like 3 p.m. and I'm like, oh, I haven't eaten anything. And then I ask myself, am I hungry? And the answer is honestly, no, I'm not hungry. And then I'm like, but I probably should eat something, right? And so then I go ahead and I eat something, right? But it's been very difficult for me to tune in to my body feeling hungry, which is once again those fight and flight mechanisms, especially through raising your vibration. So there is a need for that reptilian brain to anchor us into this body, to anchor us to this planet Earth, right? So just kind of being aware of that. Great question though. Okay, another question here from one of our members, Wazini. Is there a way, oh, this is a great question. Is there a way to tell the difference between well-meaning ETs and malevolent ETs when making first contact? And then you have a second question, but let's just talk about this one first. Okay, yeah, actually, I'm just going to mention the second question. Is there a way to only allow the nice ones into your experience? Haha, great question. And I think that especially with this woman calling into question my discernment with good versus bad ETs, I think this is a great time to kind of mention the discernment. Okay, absolutely there is a way to tell the difference between high vibration and low vibrational beings, especially when you start to open up that portal in the left side of your hemisphere. It's really important. So the biggest way is it has nothing to do with the way that they look. I think I've mentioned in previous videos that I have had angelic beings, okay, who look pure love and light, all like flowy, beautiful, like over the top, like white, wearing white and huge white wings. Like I've seen beings who look like that, And then they are literally dark entities that are trying to project themselves as these white light angels who look, oh, so good looking, because they must be 5D, right? Because they're good looking. It's ridiculous, right? So it has nothing. Please, 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 please never never judge an interdimensional being on the way that they look. It all comes down to discernment of vibration. And I was able to look, and this was years ago, I was able to look at this image of this flowing goddess looking beautiful, incredible, angelic being that presented itself to me. And I was able to look at it and feel it and say, no, there's something not quite right here. Who are you really? And the whole illusion of the way that they looked dismantled. And it was this dark being who was trying to project and trying to trick me. And that happens. It really does happen all the time. So yeah, so please never judge a being on the way that they look. You have to feel the vibration. Before you sit in meditation, before you plan to open up that portal in your own brain or your own hemisphere, or open up your third eye, you have to be sitting in a place of 0 point neutral frequency energy, where you are able to observe everything around you objectively with non-reaction. Because if you're in a place of ego or reaction or polarity, you're going to see that beautiful, gorgeous, white light angel in front of you and say, oh my God, you're such a beautiful angel. And you're going to get tricked. And you're going to have zero discernment. Okay? So you have to come from a place of neutrality, of objective awareness, but then also coming from a place of being aware of what love, like pure unconditional love and gratitude feels like. But you also need to come from a place of understanding what the darkness and low vibrational frequency and manipulation feels like. If you have not had an experience with dark entities and energies, you will not be able to discern between good and bad extraterrestrial beings. My entire life, I have been psychically attacked and targeted. I dated a reptilian, right? I know all of their tricks. They don't target me anymore because I know their tricks. They've tried everything in the book. And the only thing that really ever took me down was that reptilian relationship. And luckily, it didn't take me down for long, right? So as much as you only want to experience the high vibrational and the pure love interdimensional beings or the experiences of pure love in the astral realm, I think that it is absolutely necessary to experience dark energy and low vibrational frequency to become a master. If you want to be a student and you want to be sitting in the realm and the energy of polarity, then it could be all love and all light all the time. Great. But you're only existing in one limited linear perception of this binary matrix reality. In order to become a master, you need to experience both ends of the binary polarity. And then, and only then, will you be able to rise above it and discern what is what moving forward, right? So for this woman to basically attack my character, to say that I don't know the difference between high vibrational beings and low vibrational beings, and that high vibrational beings don't actually use cryogenic chambers, it's like shocking to me because this is what my whole career is about. And she's not a channeler. She doesn't actually have that ability to discern. So I don't believe that people should be teaching about things that they don't actually know deep down within themselves. Anyway, not surprising. Hopefully that helps you guys, right? So the only really big discerning factor for all of you into what is high vibration, what is low vibration, including teachers, right? You have to feel it. You have to feel the vibration. Don't look at the images. Don't even get fooled by this face, even when my face is breaking out, okay? Don't get fooled. Discern for yourself, critically assess, question, how does this feel for me? And all the information that I ever receive from the Galactic Federation is all unconditional love. It's all helping humanity. They're not saying, hey, in order to heal yourself, you need to consume a bunch of, olive oil, right? It has nothing to do with that. They never tell you what is right and what is wrong. They just relay information. And if it resonates with you, then it is for you. So once again, it's all about vibration. It's not about the way that things look. Because if we judge things on the way that they look, then we are very much so limiting ourselves. And then also, I do say, I am a huge believer in the experience of the high vibration and the low vibration. If you're a light worker out there, you've probably been attacked many times before by dark entities. And it's because you're a fucking master. That's why. You're not just a student. Okay, sorry. Rant over. Let's move on. Tasha. Okay. Tasha McPhee. Hello. I was wondering if people with an O negative blood type have a specific alien origin. So I channeled this a long time ago. Well, let's say I tried to channel this a long time ago and I never got any real answers. Like the one that everyone asked me is Rh negative, I believe, Rh negative blood. I highly believe that every blood type is specifically aligned to a high amount of interdimensional DNA that you have in your body. And I bet you a medical medium or, someone else out there has that information. So I highly, highly, highly believe in the fact that blood types are directly connected to your cosmic origin. And I hope that one day in my life, I can sit down with a list of all the blood types and literally channel what is what. But up until this point in time, I have not channeled what is what. The only thing that I have channeled a little bit is Rh negative blood, which is pretty rare as I believe it, or I know it, is either reptilian in nature or Anunnaki in nature. And if you're sitting there thinking, oh shit, I have Rh negative blood, it's okay. It doesn't mean that you're evil or bad or wrong. There are plenty of really good Anunnaki beings and plenty of really good reptilian beings out there. So don't worry, okay? But yeah, sorry guys, I don't have the information right now on the blood types. And hopefully one day I'll have the time and the resources and the energy to just sit down and really, really dive into it. But that would be very interesting to do. Okay, we've got another question here from Revenure Scarlet. Okay, yeah, good question. What is Africa's role in this awakening? The continent seems to be forgotten behind the scenes. Are you guys prepared for something that might be a little bit triggering, that might be a little bit controversial? Oh my goodness, okay. Okay, so it was this past week that I channeled this piece of information. As always, guys, you can take it or leave it. Okay, as always, you can take it or leave it. Yes, this is what it was. I was channeling for a client this past week, and she asked me, she said, are there any past lifetimes that are directly connected to this present time on the planet? And so I channeled a past life. I'm just going to explain the past life, and then I'll explain the download that I received after. Like I said, take it or leave it. It's a very, very, very polarizing information, but it has everything to do with Africa. Okay. So the past life was around 1700s, I want to say, potentially 1800s, but it was basically the precipice of the Black slave movement. Whenever that timeline was, that's exactly when this past lifetime was. And this is for my client. And she was a part of a huge plantation, a huge compound. It was basically like a huge property in America. And she was the daughter of the plantation owner. So she was white, her father was white, and he was a really bad guy. Like, he just wasn't good. He just didn't treat people right. And so he bought a ton of these African slaves, right? And her, okay, being the daughter, she was so full of love, and she would always sneak them extra food or talk to them, and she would get punished by her own father for conversing with these African American slaves. And so then, so there was all these like little huts, I guess, on the property where these African slaves would live. And they, you know what, considering their life, they had quite a joyous, like they had a lot of expression and music and connection and community. There was a community there. It was so beautiful, despite the circumstances. And what happened was one day her father got a letter, okay? Came through with a guy riding on a horse, and he got this letter. And the letter said, if you have extra African slave children, if you have extra slave children that you want to get rid of, send them here, and we'll pay you for them. And so she found out about this, right? She found out about this. And in her mind, she's like, where are these children going? And in her mind, it's like, she didn't want to lose these children. Like these slave children were like her children. She took care of them, right? So she basically ended up getting in touch with the Underground Railroad movement at the time. And she intercepted where the children were going to be. So there was 5 of these slave children from her compound that were going to be at this train station. And so she basically gave the information to the people, the Underground Railroad movement people, to grab these children and to free them, right? To save them and to free them. Anyway, so I thought to myself, I'm channeling this past lifetime, and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. Like, you were helping the underground movement. Like, you were such a beautiful soul, right? And then I asked, because I was so curious, and I asked myself, or I asked, the information. I said, what was the purpose? Where were these children going to go? What was the purpose of that? And this huge download comes to me. Like I said, guys, this is pretty shocking information. Take it or leave it. I was shocked, but it's not, I get shocked every day. Okay, so basically the information comes through that, what did they call? They called Africa the sacred land. They called Africa the sacred land. There's a lot of information, knowledge, and wisdom that is being held and has been held in Africa for a very long time. Very similar to the indigenous communities on North America, all getting wiped out. The biggest genocide that no one ever talks about is with the indigenous, right, on North America. And obviously, the Black slave movement was huge. So it's like, how do I say it? I'm just going to say it the way it is. The information that came to me is that the reptilian elite, who were shapeshifting into humans and royalty, or whatever you would want to call them, specifically had a plan to bring over these African people from Africa, to make them slaves, not only to degrade the sacred land of Africa and the knowledge and the wisdom that these people held for years, for generations, but also the initial plan was never to have these people as slaves. The plan A for these people was so that they could kill them in sacrifice, drink their blood, and create adrenochrome. I know. The initial plan for the African people was to actually use them for reptilian blood sex ritual, sacrifice, and adrenochrome. And literally, it was like this huge aha moment for me. It was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. The secondary plan is, well, they're here anyway. Let's just use them and abuse them. I know, it might be triggering for some of you, or it might be an aha moment for some of you as well, just like it was for me. How beautiful is it that we had BLM, which was initially Plan B, and then we had the child sex slavery movement, Plan A, all freaking colliding at the same time. Whew, chills. What's happening right now with Africa is because the child sex trafficking and slave movement is being taken down, and the equal rights of African American people, which they always deserved, is being given back to them. There is a retribution, I don't know if that's the right word, that's happening with Africa right now. They are regaining access to sacred knowledge and wisdom that has been taken away from them from the very beginning of this whole dilemma, this whole issue in North America, right? They are reclaiming their sacred knowledge. And there are so many light workers that are being drawn to South Africa and Africa as a whole. And, you know, when I was a kid, my entire room was decked out in everything Africa. I had cheetah print on the wall. You know, my mom would give me artifacts from Africa. And if she bought it from like Home Sense and it was just like an African mask that wasn't real, true, authentic African, I would literally say, I don't want this. Because it's not, I could feel the energy, the difference between an actual African artifact versus something that was just produced. So, you know, I just want to say that I've had sacred connections to Africa my whole life, even though I've never been there. Africa is reclaiming their power. Like, how incredible is that? Anyway, so that just came to me like 3 days ago, and then this question comes up, and all of you are upvoting the question, and I'm like, this is it. This is time. Once again, guys, take it or leave it. Take or leave the information. Oh my goodness. Okay, couple more questions that I want to get to. Okay, Maria. Okay, is it true that Bill Gates and the Pope are in cahoots to create a new world order to destabilize the United States and to control the masses with a microchip that will disable the pineal gland and make ascension for those impossible? It's a great question, Maria. The short answer of that question is yes. Yes, absolutely. The microchip, RFID, I mean, yeah, that has been a plan. The New World Order, 100% has been a plan for quite some time. We are not moving into that timeline. We're not. Are they still trying to push that New World Order timeline? Yeah, now more so than ever before are they trying to push that New World Order timeline. Are they going to be successful? No, absolutely not. And I'm going to leave it there. Okay. Just a completely out of left field question, but good one. And all of you wanted to know this as well. Isabel Hoover, what are your thoughts on marijuana usage? Does it hinder spiritual development or the ability to dream? Honestly, guys, it's not up to me to say what is right and what is wrong for you. For some people, marijuana is going to level them up or ground them in or allow them to let go of their ego brain. For some people, it's going to hinder their ability to connect. It's going to hinder their ability to be grounded, right? So I don't want to say that it's all good and I don't want to say that it's all bad because it really depends on the individual. Is it much better than alcohol? I mean, it's worlds better than alcohol. It's a plant that grows from the ground, and I believe it's a technology here to help us, but it's not meant to help absolutely everyone, just like this information is not meant to help absolutely everyone, even though I wish that it could. I wish everyone could feel the vibration that I'm emitting, but okay, so that's it. I'm just going to leave it there. Okay, and 2 more questions. Okay, Kaz Opez. Hi, EA. I was wondering if you could remote view the underground tunnels, or I was wondering if you have remote viewed the underground tunnels, and what did you see if you did? Is there any information on Australia or around the world? Great. So when they're referencing the underground tunnels, they're specifically mentioning for the children, right? What's happening? And then the next question that comes is very similar to that. From Sinead White, I'm curious about the rescued children. I find myself thinking about them a lot. I've heard recently that the figure is in the millions. Do you have any info on where these children are, where they're being kept, and how they're being looked after? What can we do to help them? And will the public be told about them? Because I feel like it would really wake people up. Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to go ahead and remote view the underground tunnels. I want to see as a collective where we are, and then I want to ask some of those questions as well, which is, where are they being kept? What is the number? Is it in the millions? And is there anything else that we can do to help? So just 1 second. I want to just explain remote viewing for all of you who have maybe never seen me remote view before. basically what I do is very similar to channeling. I'll sit here, I'll close my physical eyes, I'll open my third eye, I'll calm my mind, calm my breath completely. You have to be in a very, very, very clear meditative state in order to remote view or channel. You basically have to let go of this entire physical reality in order to get there. So anyway, and then I astral travel. So I actually get out of my body, I'll zoom around planet Earth, which takes, honestly, it's crazy, less than a couple seconds. And I'm just gonna check out the underground tunnels, maybe some military bases. Let's just see what's going on firsthand rather than talking to the Galactic Federation about it. Let's just see what I can experience with that. So 1 second, everyone. Okay, I'll stop there. Okay, first of all, I want to say that there are so many of you watching that when I like closed my eyes and instantly opened my third eye, it was like an audience of all of you were in front of me, just like waiting for the information. So it was pretty intense. So I had to literally put myself in a bubble. I had to cut all of the cords that all of you have created during this video. And it just reminded me to put an invisibility cloak on myself, because when I astral travel, I don't want to be targeted and then come back to my body anyway. So it was just really funny. I just felt all of your energies when I instantly closed my eyes. Okay, so the first thing that I did was I traveled around. I was actually drawn instantly to South America and the tunnels there. Like there's a lot of activity happening right now at this time. Maybe I was drawn there because there's the majority of the activity happening right now at this time in South America, but it's happening everywhere. It's so beautiful. I see all of these volunteers, let's call them, and like white hats, which are people, human beings all over the world who obviously are star seeds and high vibrational beings, who are, whether they're doctors or nurses or just volunteers and everyday people who have been recruited to help free the children underground. And it's really interesting because I see a lot of them, especially in South America for whatever reason, in full-on hazmat suits with ventilators and masks, right? Air filter masks, which is very interesting because when they go into these underground tunnels to free and rescue these children, there is so much feces and so much, like it's just decaying dead bodies. Like it's horrendous, you guys. It's horrendous what's going on down there. So doesn't it make sense that now seeing someone in a hazmat suit with a gas mask on or whatever, a mask on, is not abnormal? And I think that COVID is a huge cover-up for this operation, and that's a part of it. There's many reasons why this is all happening right now. Anyway, so I saw these people in full suits, white suits, but also I saw people who were just wearing the masks and not the suits, and they were all taking the children out. And I said, man, if there are this many children, then there's got to be twice as many volunteers, right? And so I saw that these people, these volunteers, have been trained about this for years now. It's been years in the making to free these children from these tunnels. So they've been trained for this. They have also all signed NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, with the good guys, saying they will not talk about this. And the main reason why they're not supposed to talk about this is it would throw the entire world into a frenzy. I'm sure that there are some whistleblowers and some people who have been helping the underground movement. Maybe not. Maybe they understand that it is for the greater good of all involved to keep quiet on this, rather than say anything. So anyway, super interesting. What else did I see? Hold on. Just have to get the images back. Yeah. So then I asked the question, how many children are there? And I got the number, and you know, sometimes it's difficult to pinpoint a number, but this is the number that came to my mind, which was about 8 or 9 million all around the world. 8 or 9 million, which is almost like an insurmountable number if we think about it. But this is happening in every country, because every country has been feeding the elites. Every country has been feeding these reptilian shapeshifters for a very long time. Yeah, there's an underground movement that's happening with all of these children who have been like super messed up stuff. And then there's an above ground operation that's happening. Now, if you hear about people that are talking about child sex trafficking, they're all referencing the above ground operation of like, hey guys, we can all agree that pedophilia is wrong. We can all agree that children need to be freed. We can all agree that there's this child sex trafficking movement that's happening, and let's take down these pedophilia rings. They're just talking about the surface level of what's happening on this planet, not underground, right? What's happening underground is worse than your worst nightmare. Okay. Okay. Let me just ask a couple more questions. When is this operation going to be complete? What can we all do about it? If there's any other details and information, let's just take a look, maybe another quick look at all the tunnels. So let's just, yeah, 1 second. Right. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, so they're hoping to rescue all of the children from the underground tunnels by 2021. So that's a pretty big excavation of these poor children. And I asked where they were going, and they said that there have been certain sites and camps that have been set up for the past 10 years, and it's really interesting. This is really interesting. So in America, specifically in America, and I don't know if it's like a UN thing or if it's an American thing, but there's something called FEMA camps, and you can correct me if you think it's a UN thing or an American thing. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if FEMA camps are worldwide or just for America. But I know specifically in America, there's something called FEMA camps, okay? And there are these huge camps that have been set up to house many people. And if you've ever been looking into conspiracy theories and whatever, you'll also have questioned these FEMA camps in the past couple of years. Back in 2012, 2013, when I was like digging into this information, I came across this concept of FEMA camps. And right away in my mind, I'm like, this feels nefarious. This doesn't feel like good vibes. I don't know why they're creating these FEMA camps everywhere and putting billions of dollars into these camps to house no one, right? And so then the information that I got just now is so interesting. Okay, how do I even explain this? The nefarious agenda of the New World Order was led to believe that these FEMA camps were going to be built to enslave people. That's why a lot of them have barbed wire around them. It's really messed up, right? And a lot of people were actually comparing these FEMA camps to the camps that we saw in Hitler days, right? So I was definitely on board that wagon. I'm like, oh, these are bad. This is bad news. What are they planning on doing? And now I'm just getting word that, in fact, so funny. The Galactic Federation, or the powers that be, the high vibrational beings, whoever what you want to call them, it's not just the GFL, but other beings who are here to assist the good, right? They have been allowing the dark, nefarious agenda to continue because they've always known that these FEMA camps are actually going to be housing the children that eventually need to be rescued, which is really interesting. Same exact thing with COVID. You know, the first initial channel that I had with the Galactic Federation back in February, March, right, that I put out there, that probably led a lot of you to my channel, they literally said that the Galactic Federation has known for years, for many, many years, that this whole virus has been planned and whatever. They've been tracking it for years, but that this is the perfect opportunity to switch up the paradigm, so they've allowed them to do it. So how funny is it that the dark side are convinced that they're going to be sneaky, right, about doing something against humanity, and the Galactic Federation is chilling in a higher vibration saying, we know exactly what your plans are. We know exactly what you're doing. We know exactly what's going on, but we're going to let you do it. Because in fact, it's going to actually add to our benefit, which is benefiting the whole of humanity. It's just so funny. Like, talk about the games that are being played up there in the astral realms and the other dimensions. Like, it just blows my mind, right? The intense, detail that's being put into all of this. So interesting. Oh man. Okay. Good. So they're going to these FEMA camps. They're being taken care of. Yeah, let me just ask a couple more questions here. Yep. Okay, great. So they said that the best thing that we can do is to continue to raise awareness on this topic. Not only, it's so wild that raising awareness for like child sex slaves and pedophilia and all of that is actually liberating Africa, which is mind-blowing that those two things are even related, like just freaking mind-blowing. Anyway, so raising awareness is going to be the biggest thing that we can do, because when we raise awareness, it allows us to speed up our timelines faster so that this information, the truth of what's really going on, we need to realize that the child sex pedophilia is directly linked to adrenochrome. Adrenochrome is directly linked to reptilians. And if we can get the world shouting no more adrenochrome, then everyone knows the truth of what the fuck has really been going on this planet since the dawning of humanity. Their illusion, their paradigm, their matrix system, their grasp, their control on humanity and humans and the whole karmic debt prison system is collapsing, you guys. It's collapsing. And what we can do is raise awareness, and we can do the energy work. Raise your own conscious vibration, do the grid system work for the planet, do the energy work in the astral, get together with your light weapons and your light warriors. This is no longer a time to be passive. This is no longer a time to not take action. This is a time to stand up. And the sooner that we can get everyone aware of what's actually happening, the sooner we can shift into a new paradigm. This is everything. This is the key. The funniest thing is that I freaking lost my keys. Like, they popped out of existence a couple of days ago. And I was like laughing because one of the last videos I did was like, Elizabeth, you give people the key, but they have to open the door themselves, right? And then I'm like laughing because I'm like, I never lose my keys, ever. And here I am, I just lost my keys. And I was channeling that this morning. I'm like, why was that? Why did I lose my keys? And they basically told me that I'm starting, I mean, they're house keys, right? This is no big deal. It's like a house key and a motorcycle key, but I lost my keys because I'm starting to gain access to new keys for the rest of humanity. I've given you all everything that I've got, everything that I've channeled in the past 10 years. Like, it is all on the line for all of you. And which is like baffling to me that I can openly talk about reptilians and blood sex rituals and adrenochrome. Like, it just blew. And the Galactic Federation, you have it all now, right? And now is the time for me to get more downloads and gain access to more keys for all of you. And once again, as always, everyone, it is up to you to open the door and to choose to step through it. That is not my duty. This information is for you. It's readily available, but you have to choose and discern for yourself if it resonates with you. and if it's for you. And that being said, please go ahead, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. I know a bunch of you are not subscribed, so please subscribe and check out my membership page tomorrow, Monday. I have to remind myself because time is all weird. Monday, tomorrow, I am talking about dark energies, dark entities, psychic attacks, you name it. I'm like, thank you so much, woman, who told me that I don't have the ability to discern. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it. I mean, these attacks are going to be ramping up. All of you are light workers. All of you have felt that target. So make sure that you tune in tomorrow for a very dark and mysterious, but also I have a key for all of you to unlock your fear of the darkness. Unlock your fear of the low vibrational entities and beings. I know a lot of you are scared, so my intention for all of you tomorrow is to allow you to understand and conceptualize dark energy and dark entities in a way that you actually have love and compassion for them. Therefore, they have no power or control over you anymore. It is time to take our power back. It is time to heal the trauma from past lifetimes. It is time to step into the light only because you know the darkness. So I hope that all of you are ready. And as always, thank you for being here. I will see you tomorrow at 5:55 or 2:55 or 1:55 or whatever. I love you all. Thank you so much for being here. Bye for now.